afternoon to all of you, and welcome to the Sunset Safari. Starting off, whilst the other two are focusing on somewhat smaller things, we're starting off with something a little bit larger in the form of the magnificent Queen of Djuma in a truly picturesque setting. An absolutely magical place for her to be, resting underneath the shade of an ivory tree. And then, just a little bit further above her, looks like now... Hello, little one. Are we looking at Shungile here, or are we still looking at Hosana? Need to get a little bit closer. Hello, little girl. That looks like the little girl to me. What a wonderful surprise, because this morning she was missing, of course. She wasn't around at all. But a very good afternoon to all of you. My name is Jamie. This afternoon I have Jean-Dre on camera with you. Those of you who were fortunate enough to bear witness to the pre-show show would of course have heard him singing away. And we have the lovely tones of Rebecca and Jerry directing us this afternoon. And what a wonderful way to start. I'm just going to wave hello to yours. And we'll have a look and see if we can figure out exactly where cub number 2 is resting up. So, for those of you that perhaps have joined us for the first time, this is Karula, who is a 12-year-old leopard, and she's known as the Queen of Djuma, a title I feel that has been very well earned, on the basis that over the last 12 years she has lived in this particular area. And right now I have to tell you, we are 100 meters away from the lodge fence, so we're not far away from the lodge at all. This is one of Karula's favorite spots, or used to be one of Karula's favorite spots, so it's nice to see her here. She was known once upon a time to raise a litter underneath the deck of one of the rooms of the lodge. Hence her nickname as the Queen of Djuma. And she spent a lot more time further to the south of our boundary. She is now back north and right next to the lodge once again. So at 12 years old, Karula has one of the most unparalleled records in terms of mothering, and we are currently watching her 5th set of cubs grow up. And what a marvelous job she is doing now. So the little leopard cub that you're looking at. Afternoon, yours. How are you? Good, thank you. Welcome to go wherever. I'll shift around. I don't know. I only got...
She was in that tree, and there was a civet right on top. We were just going to check it.
Oh, awesome. I might... Will you let me know, please?
No.
Wonderful, thank you. That's very interesting. I think, actually, maybe I'm wrong. I might be wrong about which leopard cub is with Karula. I thought when it lifted up its head it was Shungile, but it's quite a difficult patch for me to tell. It's quite difficult to see which one. And yours has just said that the female cub, so Shungile, of course, for those of you who are familiar with them, was up one of the nearby trees, and that there was a civet in the tree as well, which is something I would very much like to see, which would be absolutely fascinating. So I think I'm just going to wait for yours to get there. He's looking to see whether or not he can find them. But actually, they've had a few hours to switch around and to munch around in their kills, chewing on the remains of her nyala, and what a beautiful shot this is of the wonderful queen. We've left our genet for now, and we're now looking at this incredible view of Karula. And I'm sorry, I'm a little distracted. I'm just want to get onto the Game Drive channel to explain to the guys that they don't need to worry about all of the vultures on Galago Shortcut. Oh, there we go. It's okay. Ephraim's done it for me. There we go. Everybody was a little bit concerned about the gathering of vultures on Galago Shortcut. They didn't know about the lion kills that were there. We've got this absolutely stunning view. Now, I think that there's a very good chance that Karula is going to be gone by tomorrow morning, because I think this is all that is left of her nyala kill. Now, a little bit earlier, a pair of bushbuck looked as though they were about to walk straight into her once again. They didn't realize she was there until they were almost right on top of her, and then they dashed off and away. And the rest of this young Inyala's family, or herd, has been wandering about over the last few minutes. They're moving backwards and forwards, walking past the lodge. Oh, just like that. Oh, a female leopard or an adult leopard will only really crunch through bones like this of a large antelope when it's a young antelope. So with Steenbok and Dacre, they're capable of eating up all of the bones, but with Nyala, she would only be able to eat some of the smaller bones. She would never be able to crunch through a leg like she has if it were an adult animal. And look at that, that's all but gone. Is she going to eat the hoof as well? Could be. They do occasionally do that. A lot of the time they end up coughing it up in the leopard equivalent of a hairball. And they sometimes even vomit it up if they take on a piece of hoof that's too big to digest. That's amazing. Look at that. She is actually eating the hoof as well. You can see the back molars acting as that carnassial shear to break through and crush the keratin of the hooves. Takes a little bit of saliva, which makes sense. It's not exactly the juiciest part of the Inyala, but it does have value in terms of nutrients, particularly the bone, in terms of calcium and bone marrow. There. Yep. Spit that bit out, Karula. The keratin's not very nice, is it? Yeah. I hope you all got some amazing screenshots of the accompanying facial expressions there, because they were really very special. And now that she has spat out the leftovers, it looks as though Princess Shongile is about to come down the tree. I'm not entirely sure which way down she's going to go. Slowly, but Shungi, that's not the best side of the tree. That's okay. She's going to creep her way slowly down the back. When talking earlier, I happened to be in final control when Brent was with Karula and her cubs at the Dacre kill not too long ago, and when Hosana was climbing down the tree. And it always seems to me as though his sister has a certain degree more in terms of coordination and grace. Hosana tends to be occasionally like a bull in a china shop in his approach to things. He just kind of goes barreling in without much thought and occasionally falls down. Shongile has a much more measured approach, although she seems to be quite content to stay there, where she is practically invisible but for a dangling tail. Karula's looking back towards the garden of the lodge, and I think that's where Hosana is, and I think we should go and have a quick look, because Jean-Andre spotted him, or says he spotted him earlier. Now let's go and have a look and see if we can catch up with the little prince as well. We can have all of the royal family this afternoon. I think that's what she's looking at. Let's go and see quickly. We'll come back to her. I don't think she's going to move just yet, although the kill is all finished. And we'll go and have a look and see whether or not her... Oh, wait, hold on. Here comes Shungi. Sorry, I can't help but shorten it because a friend of mine had a dog called Shungi, which was short for Shungololo. I automatically keep wanting to call Shungile Shungi. Hello? I know. Jean-Andre just went, "Oh," from behind the camera. There's something amazing about that bright-eyed expression that they have. So unique to leopard cubs. Oh, beautifully done. Oh, mom and daughter duo. Quick greeting to mom, and perhaps coming to see whether there's anything left to eat, and maybe even thinking about going back to where she had that Janet cornered. No, she's interested in lunch. Sorry, Shongile, there is not much left. I think Mom has eaten it all. It's fascinating to watch the way that these leopards divide the meals that they have, sort of tagging in every now and again. So one of them will eat, and then the next one will come and take its place, and then Karula will come and take its place. She's looking back towards the fence. Oh, very good question from Marie. While we look at the focused Queen of Djuma, I think actually there's a good chance Hassan is going to come to us. Marie, you want to know why it is that leopards look so clean when they feed, when lions look so dirty? I think one of the big things is prey size. So leopards tend to go for things that are much, much smaller than the lions do. So it doesn't involve as much of the whole tucking one's head into the carcass in order to feed. There's also very little competition, so they're not fighting each other for it. And therefore they can take a little bit more time to go about eating with a bit more delicacy. Oh, look how graceful was that? Displaced. I think Karula's going to go and fetch her son. Now this will probably be the last few moments that we can spend with him for a little while this afternoon. That's just because there are other vehicles waiting to come into the sighting. Hello, little one. Following on behind Mum. Hello. While our leopard family stalks back towards where I think Hosanna is, let's head over to Brent and find out how his afternoon is going. The furry trio indeed, because Hosanna has come out from next to the lodge fence and has rejoined his mom and sister. There he is there, looking very full and very content, in my opinion, with his little nick out of his left ear, and then his sister lying up to the right, picking up whatever scraps she can get that her mom has dropped. She seems to have managed to get luck. She's got lucky, though. She's managed to get something that is hidden in the grass that her mom has missed. And then the queen herself snacking on what remains of the Inyala's head. Now that obviously was the part left for last. There we go. All in all, a really truly special scene with the royal family of Djuma. I'm sorry, I'm speaking very, very softly. There are guests right next to me, and I don't want to disturb them in any way. So we're just going to whisper our way through this sighting. You can see the flies are that had obviously gathered around the head while it was on the ground are now buzzing around her. And just like that, a young Inyala is finished off between the three leopards. Now, I do think there's a very good chance that they might even move off before we finish this afternoon. I mentioned earlier that might have been the last few moments that we got to spend with them. There are other people on their way to the sighting, so as soon as they get here, then we are going to be leaving. I've lost one now. It's behind the oh, he's behind the termite mound. Thanks, Chandra. I was so busy watching the other two, I got distracted. Oh, there he goes. Is he going to go back towards that genet, I wonder? Or have the two cubs lost interest? I'm sure they know it's still there. They probably spent Angry Ellie somewhere. I just heard an elephant trumpeting furiously. Well, they will have spent their morning probably terrorizing that poor thing and trying to get at it. Now it looks as though he might be heading back in that direction. No. Changed his mind. He's gone off to go and lie a little bit away from mom and sister. It's amazing to watch the development and how much more independent these cubs have become over the last few years. Oh, sorry, the last few months. Let me just reposition. Sorry, it will make life a little bit easier. We're just going to reposition. I'm going to move around a little bit just so that I'm not on top of the other vehicle, or vice versa, so that we can actually talk without worrying too much about disturbing them. Let me see if I can find a position where we can have a view of all three of them. Oh, goodness, well pointed out, Chandra. I'm glad I didn't land on that. That would have been most unfortunate. Okay. And we'll settle with here for now. Chandra, by the way, just pointed out that I was about to drive through Karula's scat, which would be nearly as bad as driving through a lion's scat. In fact, it would be really, truly almost as unpleasant. They are pretty much as stinky as lion's scat, and the scent doesn't stick around for as long, but it comes quite close. And there's the little prince. I know that Brent was discussing earlier this morning on the sunrise safari the fact that he has lost his cub-like features, and he's looking more and more like an adult leopard. And he really, truly does, doesn't he? He doesn't look nearly as fluffy. I think the same probably applies to his sister, but I think it's just the shape that Hosana... Yes, I see how alert you are, little one. You're so on the ball. Little Shungile was picked up already on the fact that there was a male bushbuck moving about around the lodge. See the interest in her body language. This is one of the reasons why, one of the ways that we see the female cubs becoming more and more independent quicker than the males. And that level of interest that she's showing. She's not nearly big enough to hunt a male bushbuck just yet, but she's thought about it. She really looked like her sister there, her older sister. She looked like Tony. Speaking of the development of the gorgeous leopard cubs, Zach, you wanted to know how old these cubs are and when they will reach maturity and when they will be independent. Zach, they are 9.5 months old. They were born on the 2nd of February, which is probably one of the most specific leopard birth dates that we have ever had, just in terms of the fact that Brent managed to see them when they were just a few hours old. She will become independent faster than her brother, or sooner than her brother. That's just the way it works with female and male leopards. What are you doing? Well, you're going to go and pick a fight with your brother? No, just lie right next to him. Really gives a nicer comparison of size. And sorry, Zachary, I wasn't quite finished with your question. In terms of age, Shungile will be around 18 or so months, or maybe just a little bit older. And Hosana will probably be around 2 years old when he leaves his mom, but he'll stick around his natal range for quite a long period of time. So there'll be a considerable difference between the development of these two gorgeous leopard cubs. Nice. We don't often get to see them lying together like this. Where are you going? Michael, you want to know, when the time comes, how will Shungile know that it's time to leave Karula, and how will she know which portion of her territory to take? It's a difficult one because it doesn't necessarily work that the female sort of gives up a portion of her territory. What essentially starts to happen is mother and daughter start to come into conflict more and more frequently, and it's a sort of organic way of, it has an organic way of developing. So Shungile will start spending more and more time in one part of the area that she's grown up in and expand and sort of push the boundaries of her territory out from there, and slowly but surely take over a portion of her mother's territory. And it's sometimes it can actually almost be not aggressive in that they physically fight, but they can hiss and snarl at each other a little bit. How will she know that it's time? It happens differently with each individual leopard, and it's when they feel ready, almost in a way like human beings. It depends upon the individual. And what will happen over the course of the next few months is that Shungile will become more and more independent. She'll move away from her mom more frequently. She'll start making kills of her own. She will She'll still remain affectionate with her mother and her brother, but she'll just spend more and more time away from them, as will Hosanna actually. They just have to grow in leaps and bounds. But as to how she knows, well, that's a secret that only Shungile will be able to find out when she's ready. I'm not quite sure what triggers the switch and what severs that final connection between mom and daughter, or son and daughter. And once she's out, that's that. She might encounter her mom every now and again, and if her mom's feeling generous, she might even share kills with her. But we've seen with Shadow and we've seen with Tundi, both of whom are Karula's older daughters, and on the boundary, on either side of Karula's territorial boundary, it is not always entirely friendly. We've seen Karula and Shadow growling at each other, Tundi and Shadow growling at each other. It's just an interesting way that leopards go about, and they really truly are a solitary creature. While our leopard cubs nap away, well, not quite nap, but lie up and rest, digest their full bellies of food, let's go across to Byron. And sorry everybody, it seems as though Brent has disappeared off your screen. It's the joys of a live safari. You just never know what to expect around the next corner. Unfortunately, sometimes the surprise is a signal dip, which was unexpected in Brent's case. So you are back with me in the vehicle, and wonders upon wonders, we have not have to leave. Our patience has outmatched the other vehicles, and we find ourselves with the leopards once again. I was just repositioning to bring you a view of Shungile and Hosanna, at which point they got up and moved. A point that has not gone unnoticed by the local area's impala herd that are currently watching with great trepidation and alarm calling. I hate to tell you this, impala, but you're a little bit behind the times. Let's just listen and see them bark. I love that sound. Usually because it means we're about to find a leopard or a lion. One last time. Oh, I keep talking over her. My timing's terrible. Look, 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 look. Look at her on the left. Did you see that? Oh, the baby just kicked. The baby it's kicking in response to her alarm call. Did anybody else just see that? That was so cool. The fetus just kicked. You okay there, Chandra? You're joining in the alarm calls. Watch her belly. I know that she's contracting when she calls, but look, you can actually see the slight protuberance on sort of close towards her hip bone. I don't know if that baby's going to do it again. That was so cool. I didn't imagine that. Please can somebody tell me whether or not I'm going completely mad? I'm almost certain I saw that baby move, and quite significantly. Obviously she's contracting, so that's not what I mean. I mean the muscles of her diaphragm are contracting to create that barking sound. So that's not what I mean, and not what I meant. I promise you I saw an angled protrusion come sort of out of her belly for a moment there. That was so cool. Thank you. Yes, I'm not going crazy. Thank you for all of you sending through that I'm not completely loopy and that you did actually see the baby move. How cool is that? How absolutely awesome is that? They're going to be out very soon. Let's just watch them for a little bit longer and then we'll go back to the leopards. I'm really chuffed. I've been speaking about the possibility of seeing the fetuses move in these very pregnant impala, and I haven't had a chance to get it on camera this season. So the fact that we manage now is awesome. Hey, big girl, you're going to be having that baby any day now. It's practicing running already, huh? It's going to do well. Shame. She's making sure that everybody knows that the leopards are there, out of a deep concern. Oh, she's being joined by all of the rest of the impala on quarantine. a chorus of barks, and now I can hear them. I just can't see them. There's dwarf mongoose alarm calling as well. I don't know where those are though. They must be out of sight. Yes, girl, there are definitely leopards there. Amazing, that instinct to alert everybody in the area to the fact that there's a predator. It is quite selfless in a way, because she knows that the leopards are there. No, she just would have to move off without telling anybody else. But she does tell everybody else, because of course her safety is dependent on the safety of the rest of the herd. Oh, I've got goosebumps from the fact that we saw that movement. Yes, girl. There's leopards there. Okay. Speaking of leopards, I think let's go back across and see what they're up to. I think they've, now that it's got a little bit cooler, they might be full of the joys of spring. Less successful than our Sunday cat today. Hello, girl. And now? Yeah. Yes, Shungile is there. We now definitely don't have a view. Oh, goodness, sorry. I've somehow accidentally turned my game drive communications on a little bit too loud, and I now feel slightly deafened. Look at these impala. Despite all of the alarm calling, look here. On their way right past. Is this a different group? Is this a group that hasn't quite realized that this is quite a dangerous spot to come walking past at the moment? They're definitely on their way to go and have a drink. I don't think Karula's going to do anything. So far, she's had about 3 opportunities today, and she obviously knows exactly when to try and when not to. I'm not going to question her expertise. She's definitely far more experienced in this area than I am. In fact, I'm not experienced in this area at all in terms of being a leopard and hunting things. So I'm going to take her decision as for what it is, that she was not going to catch the animals that walked past her. I think she knows that. I think she knows exactly when to bother to waste her energy, not bother to waste her energy, bother to risk wasting her energy, and when not to. That whole sentence, in fact, that entire thought pattern didn't make any sense. I'm sorry. Hosanna watching the impala wander past. Where did, I know where. I nearly asked you where Shungile was. I love it when they do this. Apparently, Hosanna was doing it to Brent this morning. Hosanna's not being the friendly one this afternoon. This afternoon, it's Shungi's turn. Sorry, if I can't go anywhere now. Karula's on her way. Where's she off to? Ah, she's been spotted, and now we're treated to another chorus of impala alarm calls. Immediately that white tail starts flicking. Supposedly the leopard's way of saying, acknowledging that it's been seen, and essentially giving up the chase. This herd is a little bit slower on the uptake than the other one was. Now, the one thing about alarm calling impala is that they will often alert other predators to the presence of predators in an area. And of course, that was one of the ways that Brent found this male leopard. Let's go and see if we can find out exactly who it is. Whoops, it seems as though we've lost Brent, but that's okay. We've still got leopards as well. And just listen to the sounds at the moment. I was hoping the bushbuck was going to keep calling as well. It's been such an amazing evening spent with the royal family. Oh, there it That deep booming bark. Just listening for one more bark. I'll watch the behavior, because these leopards are going to come out into quarantine, so I'm not going to rush after them in the thicket. Watch the behavior of the impala as they start to trot off after the leopards. Make sure that they can keep an exact eye on where those leopards are going. Make sure that they're not sneaking up on them, because of course it's not the leopard you see that gets you if you're an impala out here, it's the one you don't. So once they have spotted a leopard, they're reluctant to let it get out of their eyesight. Eyeline. I don't know what's wrong with me this afternoon. Okay. Deep booming bark again. Bushbuck in Inge's garden, I think. Or just next to Inge's garden. Okay. Let's go and catch up with these leopards. Might have a beautiful view next to on quarantine. Okay, which way are these leopards going to go? Impala racing across quarantine. Unfortunately, the wind seems to be picking up, so we won't be able to pick up the sounds of the bush this evening as well as we might otherwise. They're going to walk right next to my car. That's so cool. How cool is that? That's my car, and that is Karula walking in front of it. That's awesome. Sorry, I got a little bit of personal joy from that. Marching along the fence line of where we live. So cool. Absolutely awesome. Creeping off in towards the south. Once they start moving into some dense vegetation, then I'm probably going to leave them to go about their evening business. And just because it is starting to get dark, she's got the 2 cubs on the move. We'll go back to that genet and see if it can't see it coming down. I'm going to go a little bit further ahead towards these, just past these impala. Cheers. Thanks, F. Let's see if we can get another shot of the impala and the leopards. Which way is she going to go? I just don't want to chase the impala myself, which is why I'm giving them a little bit of room. The impala chorus. Sounds like a band. Hey, get out of the garden. Okay, the leopard cub is now in Inge's. Let's just move forward slightly. Watch the impala all running. Hey, ouch, you little mischief. Oh, it was on the outside of the fence. I thought it had, unless that's cub number, I'm not sure which. Look at all of these impala. Sorry, there's so much going on. They're streaming across to make sure that those leopards are not going to come back and circle them. See, they're running at the leopards. How cool is that? Sorry, if we don't start up, we're going to lose these leopards. I love scenes like this. It gives you such a lovely idea about the interaction. Okay, all right. Panic, leopard, panic. Here we go. And one brave ram and one brave female. Gives you a really nice idea Now the ram's going forward. Of an interaction between predator and prey without it having to be a hunt, essentially. Here's some palalas. You're right, there's leopards. Wonder how many times Karula walks past our gate. Many, I imagine. Okay. Now this is probably going to... Oh! Okay, oh, goodness. Just called in hyenas at Gallagher Pan. She's going to jump on him. I'm not quite sure where Karula went. Oh. Hi, girl. Two little mischiefs. This must be their favorite time of the day, in my imagination at least. Their favorite time of the day, going on a walk with Mum. Before she leaves them behind in a place where they know they have to kind of stay and it's kind of boring. But when they're traveling with Mum, it must be so exciting. There's so many things to do and play with and Mum's tail to stalk. Must be the most exciting time for them in their day. Get to pretend that they are fully grown, independent adults, perhaps, sauntering along the road, imitating already that leopard relaxed waltz of a fully grown leopard. Right, it sounds as though Brent has left the leopard. I think he's found signal, though. I'm going to leave these leopards. I'm going to go and look at the hyena. In the meantime, let's head across to Brent.